This is my trail running shoe, a Saucony Exodus, and you can tell it's trail running. Can you see all the mud on this thing? I've not been able to get all the mud off this. Welcome to the Ageless Runner. I'm Ralph. So it's always fun to find out what do other people use, what kind of gear they use, what kind of shoes and so forth. So I thought today I would share with you what I use, what do I wear, what do I carry all my junk in, and maybe along the way share a few tips, especially if you're a beginner runner. And we're going to start with our feet. Now, running's a pretty cheap hobby, but the most expensive thing you're going to buy are running shoes. However, if you're a new runner, if you're just getting started, don't go out and buy an expensive pair of running shoes. Run with whatever tennis shoes you have today and run for a month or two until you decide, yes, I like running, I'm going to stick with it. Then go out and buy a pair of running shoes. And my advice is twofold. First off, go to a running store. There you'll be able to try on different models, different brands. They'll let you run around the parking lot, see what feels good to you. Now, if you don't have a running store, then you're going to have to do some research. You can go research. There's lots of shoe review websites out there. Do a little research. However, there's one shoe parameter I want you to pay attention to, and this parameter is important whether you go to a running store or you search on your own, and that's offset or heel drop. And that's how far the heel sits above the toe in a shoe. Most shoes that you walk around in, your heel sits slightly above the toes. Now, running shoes, that can vary from 0, like I wear, all the way up to maybe as high as 16 millimeters. And there's no right or wrong. It's really totally personal preference. What feels good to you, what works for you with your gait and your stance and how you run. So it's a little trial and error to find out what you like. I like low drop shoes. I'll show you here in a second. So pay attention to that parameter. Now my suggestion, if you're going out getting your first pair of running shoes, is get something kind of in the mid-range. That'd be something between, say, 8 millimeters and 12 millimeters. Start there, see if you like it. I played around with different heel drops over the years and kind of settled on low heel drops. In fact, my preferred running shoe is a brand called Ultra. Ultra makes 0 drop shoe, which means the heel and the toes sit in the same level. And another feature about Ultra, you can see this kind of unusual toe shape here. That's to give your toes plenty of room so they can splay out when you run. And this is the Ultra Paradigm. It's got a little more cushion. The other parameter in shoes you want to pay attention to is called stack height. That's kind of the thickness at the heel. So this has a little more cushion in it than some of the other Ultra shoes, but that's my main running shoe right now. Now, another running shoe I like that I've used is Saucony. Saucony is the other brand I really like. So I like Ultra. I also like Saucony. This is Saucony Freedom. It's, again, a little more cushioned shoe. Now, this is a lower drop shoe. It's not 0, it's 4 millimeters. So again, it's a lower drop shoe. I found over time I like lower drop, something under 8. So this is my other running shoe. Now, I showed you in the opener my trail running shoe. My trail running shoes, I have 2 pair. They're both Saucony. This is Saucony Exodus. I showed you all the mud. I ran a 50K back in July, and it rained most of the morning, and I've still not been able to get all the mud off this, but it's my main shoe, especially if I'm going to be out running for 3 or 4 or more hours. That's a good shoe for me. My other trail running shoe is a Saucony Peregrine. Again, it's another low drop. Both of these shoes, the Saucony Exodus and the Saucony Peregrine, have 4 millimeter offset or heel drop. Again, works very good for me. If I'm going to do a shorter run, say something 2 hours or less, I may wear my Saucony Peregrines. So go out and find a running shoe you like. Maybe target that mid-range, that 8 to 12 millimeters. Stack height, the amount of cushions, again, a personal preference. The key thing, research kind of supports the best thing is what feels good to you, what's most comfortable on you when you run. And that's what's great about going to a running store. And again, if you can't go to a running store, you got to research it on your own. Well, just do some research, pick one and give it a try. You can always, 300 or 400 miles later in those shoes, you can check it again. Oh, one other thing, when you do buy your first pair of shoes, when I first bought my first pair of running shoes, I actually went to a running store and they fit me in a whole size larger than my street shoes. So you do want to buy a larger size, a half size or a full size. So I wear a full size larger in my running shoes. That again allows room for the feet to swell and we're less likely to have your toes hit the front. When your toes hit the front, that's when you get those black runner toenails you kind of see. So buy at least a half, if not a full size bigger in your running shoe. So let's move on up and talk about our torso and our legs. Now there it's not so much brand. I have several different brands I'll talk about here in a second. It's more like material, what kind of material materials do you want? And most running materials are a polyester or polyester blend. You don't need to spend a lot of money. You can go out to any department store, just find some kind of a fitness shirt or exercise shirt, typically a polyester blend. The only brand that I might mention is I have some shirts from Kohl's. Kohl's has a brand that they call TEK, T-E-K. I have a couple of shirts from that brand. You can see this shirt here is bay leaf. I got this off Amazon. I mostly got it for a long sleeve shirt to cover my arms, but I'll run in this thing if the weather's cool but not real cold. So just find something that's a polyester blend. It's what my shorts are. I think I have some bay leaf shorts. For me, the decision about shorts is more what are the pockets like? How many pockets do they have? Are they deep enough for me to put my stuff in? But just get something that's comfortable, get something that's polyester blend. Now, as you run after a while, another material I recommend is wool. So you might think wool, you don't have wool for running, especially in the summertime, but yes, you do. This is actually a wool blend shirt that I wear. I got it from a company called Icebreaker. I'll put a link down below. It's actually a lightweight shirt for running. Now, the nice thing about wool, it has some properties that make it, I think, real advantageous over polyester. It wicks a little better. It does a really good job of keeping the moisture away from your body. And a big claim to fame of wool is it doesn't stink. Now, in other words, I sometimes will wear my wool running shirt a couple of times before I wash it. It just doesn't sink. In fact, the Icebreaker company I mentioned did a marketing campaign. I think it was last summer. I think they called it the 5-day challenge. They said, wear one of our t-shirts for 5 days and you'll notice that it doesn't stink, it doesn't smell, and it's great for travel and things like that. So wool is another option that you can use. This is a mid-weight wool shirt that I have. I use this more in cold weather, and I'll use it as a base layer in the wintertime, but it's wool. So when I say wool, this is actually 100% wool. It's 100% merino wool. So the wool is a little more pricier. You're going to pay more money for wool, but I really like it. I think it's very durable. It does great. When I do some of my trail marathons in the summer, I wear my lightweight wool running shirt. I think it does a great job of keeping moisture away and keeping me cool. So let's move up a little farther north and talk about the head. I think a head covering is important for several reasons. One is keep the sun off you for sunburn and shade. But for me, the big issue is moisture wicking. If I don't have something on my head, the sweat will just roll down into my eyes, and that causes all kinds of discomfort and difficulty. So I always put something on my head. And again, there's lots of options here. I have this it's called Trailheads. This is a very nice moisture wicking hat, and you see it's a very nice bright color so that I can be seen. In fact, I would recommend it. Some article of clothing when you're out running, especially if you run in a residential neighborhood like I do, or even trail running, wear something bright, makes it easier for people to see you. I was doing a race about 6 weeks ago. It was a half marathon. I went along a bike path, and my daughter was with me, and she was way ahead of me in this particular race. And all of a sudden, she heard sirens going off, and she panicked, says, "Oh no, did something happen to Dad?" And she turned around and looked, and she said she could see my green hat way off in the distance, trucking on down the path. So she felt relieved at that. So wear something bright, and I like to wear my bright on my head. So I have this kind of a ball hat. I have some ski cap kind of things that are bright colors. So wear something on your head that's moisture wicking, but will provide the necessary sun protection. So let me kind of finish up with clothing and talk just briefly about cold weather. At least where I live here, we're almost into October. And once November comes, December, of course, we're starting into cold weather. And I continue running year round. I just need to dress for cold weather. Of course, I have things like warmer hats, gloves to keep my fingers warm. Then, of course, is what do you want to dress to keep yourself warm? And this is, for me, this is actually an LL Bean pullover I've got. It's somewhat moisture resistant. In other words, if it's light rain or light snow or something like that, it'll kind of bead and run off. It's not waterproof. In fact, I would recommend not wearing anything that's waterproof, because waterproof tends to keep moisture in, which means you're going to get really hot. But a little bit of moisture resistance is good, especially if you get into some light missing or something like that. So this is one of my key wintertime tops. I will dress in layers in the wintertime. So, LL Bean makes good stuff. North Face and Columbia and all those types of companies make some very good products. And you can always find, a lot of variety of products on Amazon too. Okay, so enough about clothes and shoes. Let's talk about gear, because there's other things you want to carry with you when you're out for a run, especially if you're going on longer runs. You're going to want water. You may want energy, gel packs, sandwiches, whatever you want to bring with you. What are some ideas for carrying that stuff with you? So I've used various things. I've had these. This is a running belt that has some pockets in the front. I didn't care much for it. I got one year for Christmas. I didn't care much for that. The pockets are kind of hard to get into. Some people use waist belts. I've had waist belts. and some people use fanny packs. What I started using initially were just backpacks. I had some Camelback backpacks. I had one called the Blowfish. It's kind of a medium-sized pack. Then I had a smaller one that I don't remember the name of. I actually ended up giving it to one of my daughters. Both those packs came with hydration packs, which is how I carry my water. And those all work very good. They held plenty of stuff. They held the water. The only issue I had with them over time is there's no storage up front. In other words, you have the straps in the backpack, but you can't put there's no pockets in those straps. And so I was still filling up my gym short pockets with, gels and phone and keys and all this stuff. So eventually moved up to a running vest. And what I like about running vests is most running vests have these pockets up front. You can put pockets in there. You can put water bottles. I still have an energy bar in this vest pocket from my last run, and it worked great. This one even has a little zipper pocket. Now the vest I'm wearing here is made by Osprey. It's called the Duro 6. So I really like its features. Before I had this one, I had one from REI. I think that was their Swiftland running vest. Again, I gave that to my younger daughter. She wears it and loves it. So running vests are very good with pockets. Of course, you can use the backpack, as I mentioned, but get something that has a hydration pack with it. And this is a hydration pack. You can fill it up with water, put whatever you want in it, and you can suck through the hose, and that's really great, especially if you're on long runs. So my rule of thumb is if I'm going to run for more than 40 minutes, I'll bring water with me, and if I'm going to run more than an hour, I will bring energy, like this energy bar I had in my pocket here. So running vest is a way that I go. Now on those running vests, one thing, you don't have to spend a lot of money on one. Like say the REI and the Osprey that I have run between 80 to 100 bucks. Again, you go on Amazon, you look around, you can find some in the $30 to $35 range. Depends on the features and what all comes with it. So if you just want to try a vest, you don't have to spend a lot of money and invest in it. Now, another option for carrying water would be a handheld bottle. My older daughter just carries these little half-liter bottles that you get at the grocery store. She carries those around with her, which I don't like to carry water in my hand because sometimes I'm filming with my GoPro, so I got both my hands tied up carrying anything, so I don't like that. Now, what is some other gear you might want to consider? One thing I highly recommend, especially you out run by yourself like I do. I rarely run with anybody. Occasionally I'll do a trail run with my daughter, and that's something called a road ID. It's actually got a little metal tab on this thing. It's kind of a silicone leather strap. Straps around your wrist. You can wear it. It's got my name. It's got my main contact phone numbers. And this comes from a company called Road ID, and I'll put a link down below. They make all kinds of these things. They're really great to wear. Should an emergency happen where you're unconscious, you get hurt, the people who find you can actually call your loved one and get you some assistance. I often see a lot of people running down the road or down the trail, and they've got these Apple iPods or something in their ears listening to music, and that's fine. I listen to music too. But I always want to be aware of what's going on around me, especially since I run around residential neighborhoods and there's cars going around and trash trucks and kids on bikes and things like that. So what I used to do is I had earbuds that were wired connected into my phone. I would just put one in my ear and I leave the other open, but that's kind of meh, how that works. You only get half the channels. And so eventually my younger daughter turned me on to bone conduction headphones. These actually fit over your head and they rest right in front of your ear, and they play music or podcasts, whatever, and you can hear it actually pretty good. Now the sound's not, studio quality sound or concert hall quality sound because they're not in your ear, but they work quite well. You can get a lot of the music, hear it very well, but your ear canal is open, so you can still hear what's going on around you. Now my bone conduction are by a brand called Aftershocks. They're kind of well known for bone conduction headphones, but again, you can find different price ones and different cost ones on Amazon, different brands. I think these run about $100. Ones have here. I'm not sure they make this model anymore, but you can get some nice ones for about $100. You can get some inexpensive ones for easily half or less than half of that. So that's basically what I use to help me with my running, what I wear, what I carry. Anything I can put a link to, I'll put it down below. Either it'll be the brand. If I can find a specific model, I'll certainly link to that. Otherwise, there'll be at least a brand down there you can look at. So I hope I was able to share some useful information to you. If you have something you really like, a pair of shoes or a shirt or a pair of earbuds or something that you like and you would recommend, just put a comment down below and tell us why you like them, what it is and why you like it. I'm sure the other subscribers or viewers to my channel would love to hear that. So I do appreciate you watching today. If you like this video, please scroll down and hit that like icon, and I'd love to have you subscribe. If you're not a subscriber yet, please do that. Thanks again for watching, and happy running.